Now we have the old sump. We're going to remove the drain from the old sump. You can't do that from underneath the dishwasher. You have to remove the old sump first. You can take off the heater element and also the drain pump. So we just have 3 Phillips head screws we have to remove, and then there's this O-ring. Make sure you put the O-ring in position, otherwise the drain motor will leak. So we're going to got our O-ring there. We're going to put it in, put those 3 screws to hold it. And make sure you get these pretty tight. You don't want to strip them, but get them snug for sure. So the drain looks good. We're using some pliers now to remove this little nut that's holding on the heater assembly. You can use a ratchet, would be even better. Just didn't have one with me at the time, so you can use pliers if you need to loosen it, and then you can hand unloosen it, and then we're going to push pretty hard here to get this element out. It's going to push from the inside out and pull the old element out, and then you can put a new one in, or just transfer the old one over, put it in this cavity, and then just push in until it's as flat as it can go. This silver plate just goes down all the way. And then when you tighten the nut, it expands the rubber and forms a really good watertight seal. So I'm just really pushing it down hard to make sure it's flat. Then I'll add that nut back and I'll get that nut tight. Pretty cool system. So as you get the nut tighter and tighter, it expands the rubber more, forming a tighter and better watertight seal. We got everything in position for the heater, and we're just going to tighten it down. The thing to the left of the pliers is the temperature sensor for your dishwasher. There we go, we got that snug. So I'm putting in that little bracket now that holds the heating element into position. I'm going to slide it onto the element and then put in that little Phillips head screw to hold it. You can also do this part of the procedure once the sump is already in the dishwasher. Just thought I'd do it here because it's a little bit more accessible before I put the sump in. Put that Phillips head screw to hold it. Then I'm adding this metal guard that protects the element from impact from the chopper blade. Get the seal put onto the sump. You can either have a new seal or you can transfer the old seal from the old sump. This one was in good condition though. It was still pliable and there were no cuts. So I'm going to make sure it's on the sump securely. So I'm going to put a little liquid soap, liquid detergent on the perimeter of that seal, and that just helps the new sump go in there into the cavity of the dishwasher easier. I'm just getting that coating all the perimeter so it'll just slide right in. we go. So I'm going to get the machine back on its feet. And here's our new sump with the old components transferred over, most of them. Get the orientation right. I'm going to put the pump into the cavity first. Make sure I have room here at the bottom. There's no hoses in the way. It's an important part because I got to make sure I get the sump into the cavity very flat and even. I'm going to push it in here at the 12 o'clock position first. There's a little plastic tab that's going to catch underneath the silver metal there to lock it in. And then I'm going to push it down with my thumbs until everything is very flat, where this gasket and seal is totally flat with the metal. And I know it's not going to leak. So I'm going to put the machine down on its side again. And here's that little tab. And I'm going to put the couple of the components back. These are the little things that are holding the sump, the new sump, into the dishwasher cavity. Put those in and put the little plastic pieces into position, and then use the Phillips head screw to tighten them. There's one here up at the 10 o'clock position, and then one down at the 8 o'clock position. So those two angles are holding in the sump, and then there's that little plastic tab at the 3 o'clock position that's helping to hold it. You're just getting the screw into the 8 o'clock position one, getting it tight. And we're taking the seal out of the old one. This is the turbidity sensor seal. I'm going to put that on the turbidity sensor. And put a little dishwasher detergent will help you slide it in. Slide it into the cavity. Keep pushing until it locks in. Make sure the little plastic tabs lock in against the sump. And we have to add the little electric connector too. The little modular connector, just pop it back in. Okay, here's the motor controller and motor power source. We're going to get that in there, make sure it's fully seated. Now we're pulling out a little rubber piece that is part of the drain assembly. It's called a one-way valve. We're going to put that in later when we get the dishwasher back on its feet. And we're putting the connectors all back. This is the one for the temperature sensor. And I'm going to put the two spade connectors that bring power to the heating element. Putting the position switch back in for the variable motor, and then putting its power supply back on. Make sure all these connections are tight. Putting the power connectors back onto the drain pump. Putting the drain pump hose. Actually, I'll put on this little hose here first. Push it all the way on, and then make sure your hose connector's tight. You want to be able to do this procedure, and when we test it, have everything work, no leaks, everything powers up, because we took our time on this part, the connecting everything back. So we got our hose clamp back on for the drain. Got our heater connectors all done. We got our connector for the sump done. Got our variable motor connectors done. Got our motor connector done. Got our turbidity sensor connector done. Got this one little hose at the bottom we got to put back on. So feed that on and then we'll get the hose clamp back on. There we go. When you buy that new plastic sump piece with the seal by itself, it's only about 25 bucks. It's not that bad. I wish they sold the seal separately because it'd be actually pretty easy to pop in, but you have to buy the whole new sump. So we're going to put all these pieces back in. Sorry about that part. Some of the footage was left out, but we just put the circulation impeller back on. We put the filter housing back in, push the dishwasher back in with its racks, got the drain hose back onto the disposer, or it might go back onto the air gap depending on how yours is routed. Get that tight. We got the power supply back, turn the water back on, and then we're going to test it out and see if it's working better. Turn on the power button. And I'll pick a cycle here, and then it'll just start by itself. I'm going to remove the bottom kick panel so I can look in with a flashlight and make sure there's no leaks. So I'm removing the soundproofing, just pull it towards you, and just stare in there. The circulation motor is actually working at this time, but it's so quiet you can't even hear it. So you just use your flashlight, take a look. So here is just a little extra footage. I'm removing the bad seal, the old seal from the old sump, just to show you that it can be done. Unfortunately, they don't sell this seal by itself, because you could just do this and save you a whole lot of work. You wouldn't even have to remove the dishwasher from the cabinet. You could just do this all from inside the dishwasher. So this is what it looks like. If you could find somebody who sells this seal, then you could save yourself a lot of money and a lot of time. I don't know if it's available though. I don't think LG sells it. That's what it looks like. Seems pretty simple. But there's a whole lot of unhappy people because this thing leaks and then it destroys their motor, and the motor either stops working, causes an LE error. Here's a picture of the circulation motor. Here's the part number for the new plastic assembly, the sump with the new seal. So thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe when you get a chance.